Hi guys, come sew with me. We're gonna go ahead and make the home state mug rug right here. This is what it looks like. This is what we're making. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and make the 6 by 10. There's different sizes, but the 6 by 10 home mug, the state mug wrap. This is the wrap, so it wraps around a coffee cup, and they are matching. They are super cute. I'll take this off so you can see it. We are going to make these together, so come sew with me. You're going to get we're going to do the mug rug first, so go ahead and get a 5 by 7 hoop, and I hoop it with 1 sheet of cutaway. You can use tearaway. You can get the stabilizer out of this because you turn it, but you're going to have to pull the stabilizer out of all the quilting and the stitching. So I like to use cutaway, but use your preference and meet me at my machine. Okay guys, I am running the Baby Lock Meridian. I have the Parker on the Porch home mug rug loaded. This is the Colorado one because I am in Colorado. So the very first step is to go ahead and stitch your placement stitch directly onto your stabilizer. I have 1 sheet of cutaway on my 5 by 7 hoop. I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, here we are. This is what it looks like right here. There's your placement stitches. Now the placement stitches allows you to know how big of a piece of fabric you need. And the first piece of fabric we need is the main fabric that goes all the way on the back. And this fabric is where you will see your details over here, your home stitched on it. So whatever fabric you want there, go ahead and prep that fabric. So you're going to take, I'm going to use this fabric right here. So I just went ahead and cut some, and all you do is measure it to get past everywhere and cut a piece. So I've done that. And then I went ahead and used fusible interfacing right here. This is fusible fleece, and it just gives you the extra padding to go there. The other thing you can use is batting. Some people prefer to use batting, so you could use batting. If you're using the batting, go ahead and just cut a piece big enough to get past everything, and that will just sit there like that. And then you would put your piece of fabric over it, okay? So go ahead and get whatever you want. This you don't have to iron onto anything. Fusible fleece you do. I'm using fusible fleece. I tend to like fusible fleece only because your fabric doesn't move and it's together. They're not 2 separate pieces, but you can use whichever you prefer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that to make sure it's big enough. Then I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm going to run the next stitch step, and it's going to go ahead and go all the way around, adding 2 little guide marks that will help us put the back on later. So I'm going to go to the machine, I'm going to run the next step, and then I will show you what it looks like. Okay, that's what it looks like right there. Went ahead and stitched. Here's your guides right here, and we'll talk about those later when we put the back on. The next step is going to go ahead and do the placement for the detail fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and run that right now, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, this is what it looks like right here. It went ahead and did our placement right here, you can see. Now we need a big enough piece of fabric that's going to fit here. That's my iron. I was originally going to use this fabric, but this is such a huge print, you'd barely see any of it. So I'm switching and moving that over here. I'm going to use this one. The print is just a little smaller. Okay, so let me just show you the selvage so you can see who it's from. Okay, that's what I'm using. Okay, so I don't like to cut tiny little pieces off of my fabric, like, because I really just need a tiny little piece, but I don't like having like my fabric all wonky later on. So I'm going to cut this big enough to be able to make like a zipper bag that I would make, and then I'm just going to cut a piece of that. So this is probably big enough for me to make a zipper bag. So I'll just do that. Okay. And then I don't waste like all this and it's straight the next time I get to it. Because if I want to make clothing, I want to have it, I don't want it all wonky. So I'm just going to take the selvage off, and I'm going to cut like a little piece. I'm just going to cut it like that. Okay. I know this is bigger than what I need, but you need a piece that's big enough to go past all these placement stitches, and it's going to fold over. We're going to flip it, okay? So I'm just getting that piece right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and iron this, and then I'm going to just put medium weight interfacing on this, fusible interfacing. You don't have to do anything. You could just iron it and then just fold it over. You don't have to make this thicker. I just like to because it sits better. If you have, it keeps it less wrinkly and it's just thicker, so it sits better, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but you do not have to interface this piece if you don't want to. You could just iron it and then it's going to fold over like that, and that's going to stitch around it, and you're probably fine. So this is just an extra step that I like to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, I went ahead and prepped my fabric. You can see that I ironed it, and then I adhered a piece of medium weight interfacing to it. Now, I was just going to take a second to talk about the interfacing. If you are new to this, interfacing just makes your fabric a little thicker. Okay, so this is just woven fabric. This is medium weight fusible interfacing. There's a rough side and a soft side. You would take the right side of your fabric, place it down. You'd put the rough side of this, so this is the wrong side facing up. You take the rough side of the interfacing, you would place it down, and then you would iron it, and it would adhere to your fabric, making that piece of your fabric thicker, okay? That's how you put this on. Fusible fleece is exactly the same way. It's just thicker. So you would just, there's a rough side and a soft side. You'd put the rough side on the wrong side of your fabric, and then you would iron it on, and it just makes it thicker, okay? So that's how you use those. Okay, so now that we have our fabric here, we're gonna go ahead and place it. Now, you need to know which way it goes. And I don't know, hold on, let me go look at the design and see which way it's stitching the design. I just had to go look at the machine and see which way it's stitching. I'm like, I don't know which way it is in the hoop, but I probably could have known that because I see this detail here. The detail doesn't run that way, it runs this way, okay? So the home is going to be facing this way towards me. So you're going to want your design facing towards you. If you have fabric that matters, let me see if I can find fabric that matters. If you watch all my videos, I always forget this part because I'm like, I always forget to have a piece of fabric that matters. Okay, let me see if this fabric matters. Not necessarily. Okay, I'm just going to talk you through it. So my fabric doesn't matter because they're going every single direction. But let's say the hearts are, say there's hearts on here and they're only going my direction. You wouldn't want those upside down, okay? So if your fabric, we know the home's going to be running this way where the words you're reading when you're looking at it the right way. That's why I have it turned this way. So home's going to be this way. So you're going to take your fabric. If there are hearts right here facing me the right way, you're going to want to have it this way. So put it where you can like look at it or read it. Then that's the correct way. Then you're going to go ahead and flip your fabric over like this. Okay, so the wrong side is up. And then you're going to go over here and you're just going to pull this to the edge like this. Okay, and then the next step is going to stitch down here, and then you're going to fold it over, and your fabric's going to look like that. Okay, so you're going to, if you can read this, and you'll be able to read this because this will be home right here. Okay, so that is the right way to go ahead and do this. The other thing I wanted to talk about is you can super fussy cut this too. Say for example, you think something you want to show is way like over here. Say we want to show like this one right here. You can pull this over further, and then I just put my finger right where the stitch line is. If you just put it there and then just practice folding it over because it's going to stitch a line right there, you can really see where it's going to be. You know that it's going to start, you're going to start seeing fabric where these lines are, and then you know it's going to cut off right here. So you can go like this right here, and you can get your design that you want like centered. You can go up, you can go down, you can go over a little bit. It just depends on how big you cut your fabric, okay? Mine really makes no difference. I just want to show you how to fussy cut it and get exactly what you want to make sure, like say for example, you had like a words or a dog or something in there that you really wanted to see, and then you're disappointed because it's not showing, because this is a pretty small space right here, okay? So I'm just going to move it over just a little bit. We're going to go to the machine, and the next step's just going to stitch right here. It's going to just tack this fabric down, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, it went ahead and tacked it down. So your fabric is now tacked down. So now you're going to fold this over smoothing it out really nice. Okay, now the next step is going to go ahead and stitch all the way around this curve, tacking this fabric all the way down. So I'm going to go ahead and run that step. I'll come back and show you. Okay, that's what it looks like. It went ahead and tacked that down there. Now we're going to start getting into some of the detail stitches. So I'm going to put this back on my hoop, okay, and I'm going to bring you over to my screen. So we're going to go ahead and do the quilting next. I'm going to bring you slowly so I don't make you sick. These quilting lines right here are going to go on next. So you will see these. So go ahead and pick whatever color you want to see with these quilting lines. I'm going to use white, and I will come back and show you what it looks like stitched. Okay, that's what the quilting looks like right there. Now you're going to go ahead and switch your thread to whatever color you want the HME to be. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. I'll come back and show you. Okay, there we go. That's what that looks like. Now it's going to go ahead and stitch the shape of the state that you picked, and go ahead and change your thread to whatever color you want that to be, and go ahead and stitch it. I'll come back and show you mine. Okay, there's what the state looks like right there. Now the next step of the details is the cute little heart. I'm going to do mine in like a hot pink. I went ahead and switched to that color. If you don't want to stitch the heart, you don't have to. You can skip it. I know there might be some people watching that are just really new to embroider and they don't really know how to maneuver their machine, because I didn't when I first started. I started out with the PE 770 Brother like a long time ago, and I'm like, I have no idea how to jump stitches and stuff like that, but I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm just going to hit okay. Let me switch hands. Just gonna hit okay. Now I know my machine's probably gonna look different than yours, but to control your stitches, you should all have something similar to this little needle with a plus and a minus. If you find that on your machine, that's what it was on my Brother machine. You just got to be able to find it in your menu. If you find that, it brings up a screen, and a lot of them, they might look different. On the Brother one, it had little spools for the steps and needles for the stitches, but you get the idea. This machine has arrows for the steps. If I wanted to skip this step, I could go ahead and press down and it goes to the next step. Okay, so I don't have to stitch it if I don't want to. This is how I get between my steps right here, up and down. You know, I can go back in the step that I did before. Now, if you just want to, like, say your thread broke or something and you want to move back a little bit, usually when your thread breaks, it does move back a few steps, but if you want to move back more to make sure that you're getting there, the minus 10 right here with the needle, it will jump back 10 stitches within the step you're currently in. And that's 1, that's 10, 100, and 1,000. The plus means it's going to go forward 1 stitch, 10 stitches, 100 stitches, 1,000 stitches. So on my machine, the needle shows you how many stitches it goes back or forward within a step, and then the up and down arrow skip steps. It'll go forward 1, back 1, whichever you're doing. Your icons may be a little bit different, but you should always be able to find, I think most machines do have that symbol that gets you into them. Okay, I'm going to stitch the heart, and then I'll come back and show you what mine looks like. Okay, this is what it looks like right here. Okay, now I just have some long threads here because my thread was long when it started. I'm just going to go ahead and cut these, and there's one by my heart. Oh, my tweezers aren't working very well. All right, so we're on our last stitch step, and you will notice that you have 2 little guides right here. These little guide marks right here show you where you put the back of your fabric on. Okay, we put the back of our fabric on the front. Okay, so let me put it this way so I have the words facing you, so everything's facing you correctly. Okay, I'm using this fabric, so basically all I do, let's take you, so I cut this to be big enough because now I'm using it for my back as well. So I just go ahead and go across and make sure that I have a big enough piece to get past all these placement stitches. Now you're going to want yours a little bigger because we're going to fold over a little bit. It's going to overlap a little bit. So don't get it, like, give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. Okay. So I just go ahead and cut a piece. Once I cut it, then I iron it and I just fold it in half and cut up the middle. So you have 2 sheets of your fabric that are the same distance from each other. This one's shorter because I ironed it, okay? But they were the same. So one of them is just flat. The other one, I iron up a clean edge. So it's just half of that one, and then I just have a clean edge here. Now, if you're worried about remembering which one needs to go down first to have the clean edge on top, then you can fold both of them. They both can get a clean edge, and then you never have to worry about that you put the wrong one down. You want the clean edge on top so you don't have fabric fraying on the back, okay? I know which one goes down the right way, so I only do one side. You don't have to iron both of them because one of them you don't see. But a trick, if you don't want to have to try to remember it, just do both of them. So go ahead and get a big enough piece of fabric, cut it in half, iron one side down or two if you want. And then what we're going to do, let me show you how to make the fabric the correct way. So I'm just going to go like this. So if these fabrics have hearts on them facing me, make sure they're facing you if you want them to be the right way. I'm actually gonna have to go like this. Okay, hearts and hearts. Okay, so the one with the clean edge goes down first. So you want the home facing you, the fabric facing you the correct way, hearts, and then you would fold it like this. The one with the clean edge would go down first. And I'm matching it up to these guides right here. So that one's there. And you want to make sure you can get past your placement stitches. If you can't, you don't have a big enough piece of fabric, make sure you're getting past the placement stitches. Okay, so now I have that lined up straight. And then this is the other side. It's hearts right here facing me. I could see them facing the correct way. Then you're going to go ahead and go like this and just pull it over that fabric right there, making sure you get past all your stitch lines as well, okay? That's how you will place the fabric to make sure that your fabric's facing the correct way on the back. You don't want it upside down, so that will make sure it's the right way. And if you have the clean edge fold on the bottom, then this one's fine. You won't see it. This will be on the inside, okay? So I'm going to go back over the machine and I'm going to stitch the last step. It's going to go ahead and stitch all the way around this and closing your mug rug. And I don't prep anything on this fabric besides iron it. This is just woven. You don't need the extra bulk, and it will be harder for the corners to come out clean if you did. So my suggestion is to just use the straight woven or whatever. Don't interface it, okay? I will come back and show you what's next. Okay, this is what it looks like on top, underneath. You can take it off. We're done stitching. Okay, and then we're going to cut all the way around here. Doesn't matter if you can see it on this side, better cut from this side. If you can see this side, just cut from this side. You're just going to cut all the way around it, okay, without cutting any of your stitches. These scissors are in my link. Lots of people ask what scissors I'm using in my videos. If you go underneath this video, if you click on the Parker on the Porch or my name, whatever's sitting right there, might say Angela Perry. If you click right there, right underneath this video, all the links come up. It tells you the design and lots of different stuff that I use, and it has these scissors in there. These things are industrial. They're really, really big. You can see how big they are in my hand, but I have some issues with my hand that I've had hand surgery, and so my husband bought me these because they are super super sharp and they're really heavy duty, so I don't have to press down as hard when I'm cutting through lots of fabric or vinyl. So they are linked in there, so if you're interested in them, you can go look at them. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we're cut all the way around. We're gonna flip right here through our hole. Okay, so I'm just gonna flip. Okay, once I kind of get it kind of out, then I get like I'm just using this. This is from from sewing from a turning system. So make sure not to use your pointed edge because you'll go right through. A lot of people have the purple thing. You could use that. It's really just to get your corners out all nice. Okay. Okay. Once you have it out like that, I'm going to go iron it, and then I will come back and show you how I close it. But there's the front and the back. Should have an opening right now. We're going to close it. I'm going to go iron it really good so it's all crisp and nice. and then we will close the hole. So I'll be right back. Okay, super cute. So it looks like right there. The back's right there. You can see the clean edges on top. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and close it. I'm gonna use this fabric fuse tape. You could also use glue. Glue actually works pretty good in this project as well because it's like a harder to get this tape in here. So here's fabric fuse. If you want to use glue, that's what I would use, but I'm going to use the tape. So I'm going to cut like a clean, because I have this all torn up, so it's not really straight. I'm just going to cut that edge off. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just measure how big I need. And I'm just going to tear. Okay. So I have it there. Now I'm going to go ahead. The way I do it is I flip this back as good as I can. And I try to, the one side's sticky, one side still has the coating on it. So putting these in are a little trickier than bags in my opinion, because you're restricted right here. Okay, so I just go ahead and bump it up right to the edge right there. There's a piece of string that's bugging me. Okay, so I try to put it as close to the edge as I can get it, and then once I get that started, I just go ahead and place it across close to the edge but without it showing. And then when I get over to this side, I just get it all the way on there. There might be an easier way. I'm not the best at this, okay? So I'm just turning it around so I can get this one spot. It's showing and I don't want it to show. Okay. Anyway, so I got the tape in there. I'm just smoothing it out. Okay, like that, making sure it adheres. Okay, then I go back in and I start peeling it. So you get the edge up and just peel it, make sure the sticky stuff's down. And then I make sure this is tight and I just start setting it down. Okay, make sure nothing came up. Okay. And then I'm just rubbing it down so it closes. And you can see that it's completely closed, nothing's coming up. Just gonna show you right there. There's your clean edge. It's completely stuck down. Okay, so here's the back, here's the front. It's super, super cute. Okay, so here's this project right here. We're gonna make the matching mug wrap. So stay tuned if you want to see that. It's coming up right next. Okay, I'm on my machine. This is my 8x12 hoop. We're going to make the 6x10 mug wrap size, but I like this hoop better than my 7x11 hoop, so I just use it, and it's the same. It's like the same length almost of the stabilizer. I just like this hoop better. The other one, I think I can't get it tight enough because I think I broke off this or something, so I don't use it. But I have one sheet of cutaway. I have my hoop set, whatever size you're making, make sure you just have the appropriate size hoop. And then I have my Parker on the Porch home design loaded. This is the Colorado one because I'm in Colorado. So the very first step is to stitch your placement step directly onto your stabilizer. So I'm going to run that. I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, that's what it looks like right there. It went ahead and did the placement stitches. Now you need to go ahead and get a big enough piece of fabric. Now the fabric that goes down first is the fabric where the design's going to stitch over it, like the home is going to go on this. So whatever you want is that main fabric. Go ahead and prep that fabric. Again, I'm using the same fabric here. This is just like duck cloth white or whatever, and then I did fusible fleece. Again, I showed you earlier how to adhere that. And then, or you can use your batting. You'd put your batting down first and then your piece of fabric, and just make sure you have a big enough piece to get over all your stitch lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, make sure I get over everything, and then I'm going to go back to the machine and stitch the next step, which is going to tack this down. Okay, I will come back and show you what we do next. Okay, went ahead and tacked it down and went ahead and did those guidelines again that we'll use later for the back. Now the next step is going to go ahead and do the placement stitch for the detail fabric. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run that. I'll come back and show you. Okay, one thing I wanted to point out. Okay, so I went ahead and did the detail stitch. So the next thing is we're going to go ahead and put the fabric down, but I want you to notice the home is facing this way. So this is the top. I'm going to just write top on here so we know which way to place the fabric, okay? So just always keep that in mind when you're looking. I don't normally have to write it because I can see it when I'm doing it and just know, but just make sure to keep that in mind when you're doing these designs that have words, because it matters what direction you place the fabric, okay? So I'm going to go back over to my desk and show you what we do next. Okay, I went ahead and ironed my woven fabric. I put medium weight interfacing on it, and I showed you how to do that over earlier on this. Okay, so now if these were hearts and they were facing me, we know the top is over here, so we know the home's going to go this way facing us. So we want our fabric to do that as well. So if there was hearts facing me, you're going to go like this, you're going to pull it over that line, and we're going to go ahead and stitch the tack down next, and I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, went ahead and did the tack down. Then the next step, we're going to pull this over, making it all smooth. And then we're going to stitch the next step, which is going to just tack this down all the way around the curve. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll come back. Okay, that's what it looks like right there. The next step is going to go ahead and do the quilting. So change your thread to the right color of what you want the quilting to be, and go ahead and run that detail, and I'll come back and show you mine. Okay, there's the quilting right there. Now the next step is going to go ahead and stitch the HME. So switch your thread to whatever you want that to be. Go ahead and stitch it, and I'll come back and show you mine. Okay, that's what the home looks like right there. Now, the next step is going to go ahead and stitch the state. I went ahead and switched my color that I want, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch it. I'll come back and show you when it's done. Okay, that's what the state looks like right there. It went ahead and stitched out. I'm going to go ahead and stitch the next step, which is the heart. And if you want to skip that, I showed you how to do that in the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch the heart. I'll come back and show you mine. Okay, that's what the heart looks like right there. It's stitched over there. Now it's going to go ahead and stitch the placement for our elastic. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch that, and then I'll show you how to place that. Okay, when you buy the wraps, the mug rug wraps, you will always, on all your files, you will get a PDF right here. There's a tutorial for a PDF. This is the home state. This is the wrap. The mug rug is right there. So if you double click on that, it'll bring up the instructions. So if you like walkthrough instructions, then there's always really great PDFs here. Some people like to watch it being made, and that's why we do the YouTube videos as well. But if you want to read what size elastic to put, this is where I would go, because all the sizes have been measured, and it will be different depending on what you're trying to do. So let me show you. So these are the instructions. And it tells you, like, this tells you all the supplies and stuff. So there are sizes right here. We are making the 6x10 hoop right here. And it shows you the wrap front, how big to cut your fabric, the left side, and then the back and the right, and batting. And it shows you all the sizes here. I do it off of the placements, so you can do it either way. But there's no placement on how long you should make the elastic. So they've already gone through all of the trouble to measure all the different sizes and how big, what's the best size of elastic to put on all these. So you will get those answers in the PDF. Okay, so we're making the 6x10. If you go down here, the suggested elastic size is between 6.5 inches and 7 inches. So I cut mine to 7 inches. But if you look down here, it says the measurements are dependent on the cup size. So you can get really precise here. You can go and figure out what size cup you have, and then it shows you a 6x10 wrap works best for a 10 to 11.5 size diameter cup, and then it will show what elastic sizes to do, and then it depends on your buttons. And so I just wanted to point out, this is here. I am cutting 7 inches of the 1/4 inch elastic, but I wanted to show you that it has all these pictures and it shows you what it looks like on different mug sizes. Okay, so you can go through that in the PDF. Okay, so now I'm going to go back over and show you how we place it. Okay, I just have rolls of this like this. It's just the 1/4 inch elastic. Lots of people use this for sewing and clothes. Like this goes around the little waistbands, the little arms and stuff or whatever. So this is what I have it on a roll right here. There are some others that are different colors and stuff. When you, at the end of this video, like I said, underneath this video, if you click on the name right there, right underneath, it brings up a whole bunch of different links. It tells you the designs, where to get them, and it tells you, it has like scissors and all sorts of stuff. There's tons of links under there, stuff I use. It's kind of a generic list usually, so it has a bunch of stuff that might not actually be used in this exact project because I copy and paste when I make the videos, but it does have all the links, and I will make sure I add the 1/4 elastic, this one, and like the color one that I had found, so it's easy to find. But you also can just type into Amazon 1/4 inch elastic and it will come up with some choices as well if you don't want to go through the links. Okay, so it went ahead, we stitched, I said we stitched, I wish I would have done this in a different color, but it stitched the placement. It's one little square right here on the outside of the placement of the main wrap. Okay, there's a little square right here. Okay, you are going to go ahead and take your elastic. Now, there's no right or wrong side to this, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it in half so the loop's on this side. Okay, the loop's going to be on the inside of your wrap. Okay, if you put it on the outside like this, we're going to cut all the way around this and it'll get cut off. Make sure the loop's on the inside. Okay, and then you are going to center this. You'll see your square right here. Mine's right here. You are just going to center this, and I'm just going to pull it a little bit through like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to take some tape to hold this down right here, keeping it straight and nice. Okay, now we're going to go back over the machine and it's going to stitch over this. I'm going to tape this side too so it doesn't like, now if your foot is really close down, like all the way down close to this, you might want to put it up so it doesn't like pull this out because this is raised, so you want it to just go straight over because it's going to go ahead. Oh, I actually think it stitches this way a lot, so I'm going to move that tape so I don't have to get it stuck in the tape. Okay, so I'm going to actually leave the tape off of this other side because it's going to go back and forth right here. Just make sure your foot's high enough that it's not going to move this around like when it stitches the next step. Okay, so I'm going to go over and do that and tack this down, and then I'll come back and show you what mine looks like. Okay guys, it went ahead and tacked that down right here. You can see it has stitches across here and it tacked down your elastic. Okay, so the last step is to go ahead and put our back on. So we're going to do what we did similar last time. I cut a big enough piece to get past all this. I ironed it and then I made a clean edge on one side. Okay, so the way that you're going to place this is if the fabric was facing you, it has hearts going the correct way, you're going to go ahead and just flip it like this. The side with the clean edge goes down first. You have your guides right here, so I'm just going to line that up to my guide so I'm straight and basically halfway across. Okay, and then same with this, like if hearts were facing me, I would just go like this. Okay, and just make sure you're getting past all your placement stitches. Okay, and now we are ready to go. I'm going to go ahead over the machine and I'm going to have it stitch. It's going to stitch all the way around several times, and then I'll come back and show you how we finish this. Okay, you cut around, you take it off your hoop because we're done doing it. We stitched it all. It went ahead and stitched this closed. So then you cut all, you take it off your hoop, you cut around it. So we're cut around it. I didn't want you to have to watch me cut it. And then you're going to turn it. So we're just at the turning point. And I just try to get my fingers all the way down there. This is a little longer, so it's a little harder to turn than the other things, but you just get your hands in there. I try to get the corners. You're trying to be careful not to tear it. And then you just go to the other side and push through. You get this corner too. It's kind of holding on. Okay. Okay. So I got mostly turned. You use your turning system to just get your corners out. Try not to push too hard. You don't want to go through the woven fabric. I'm just gonna go on this side. Get it all the way pushed out, okay? Once you have that all the way pushed out, then I'm gonna go over to my iron and I'm gonna iron it really nice, and then I'll come back and show you what we do next. I have an iron, I ironed it. Make sure not to iron your elastic because it will melt your elastic, okay? So keep your elastic out of the way. But it's clean and nice, looks great. Okay, now we're gonna close this hole. I'm gonna use the same fabric fuse tape that I used earlier. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take a little bit right here, pull it. I'm gonna do the same thing I did last time. I'm just gonna match it up to the edge, and then I'm gonna just put it across, getting it in there. Okay, making sure it adheres to the other side, and then I'm going to pull it up. Okay. Now, it depends on what size button you use. I have all sorts of buttons you can use over here. The instructions say to give it like a 1/4 inch seam allowance from over here, depending on where your button goes. And then there's a center. You just find the center. So, I mean, I can use this one. I'm just trying to figure out what button to use. I have this big chunky one. I'm going to use this big chunky one only because I have this really flat one down there, it's going to be harder to get the elastic around it. This one is a little bit raised, so it's going to be a little easier. Okay, so then we're just going to sew the button on here. I'm going to sew it off of camera, and then I'll come show you how you put it on how it looks on a mug. Okay, here it is. I went ahead and sewed it right there. Okay, it leaves a little thing right here. I use this thicker string. You could do white if it would blend in more, but I wanted to see the pink right there. So if you just take a coffee mug, you just place this through, and then you just wrap this around. Super cute. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoyed making these with me, and I can't wait to see what you make. Go ahead and post your projects in the Parker on the Porch Facebook group. The link is below, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for sewing with me. See you in the next one.